Greetings, this is August 9th. It'll probably be 11 a.m. when this gets out. We're looking at an image of the Big Bar Cam from Drive, BC. Looks like a nice day above the clouds. There is some smoke and haze in the area, and we can take a look at the satellite photos from yesterday. But first, let's look at the BC Wildfire website. Recently, lightning's been rolling through and a lot of little spot fires have popped up. I don't know the level of human-caused fires that we're looking at. There's quite a few just to the east of 100 Mile House, to the west of 100 Mile House. A lot of smoke and haze in the area. That's what we could see north on the Begbie Cam. Down south, there's been one fire that started on the 3rd to the east of 70 Mile House, and now another one has popped up. It's about 15 kilometers east of the chasm itself. It appears to have quite an odd satellite infrared signature, so we'll take a look at that. No indication on the cause. And you can also see in this image there's another fire that's popped up. It's in an area about 1.5 kilometers east of Young Lake. It's grown over 3 hectares in size, and the cause is indicated as lightning. The other one is in the Big Bar area north of White Lake, Meadow Lake. This is fire 41745. They're calling it Wild Goose Lake, and it's in a forested block, and it's grown quite a bit, 840 hectares, so it's quite large at this time. So let's look at the infrared. This is from the Google Earth KML. We're looking at some MODIS data, and if we zoom in, it's not showing, these are from yesterday, last night. They're not showing the Big Bar fire yet, but we are seeing that Chasm Rayfield River area. And there's the infrared just north of the Bonaparte River Valley. And if we zoom in, we can see there's quite a kind of a controlled IFR signature there. Now that may be due to different things, the refraction on the lenses. We may be getting some doubling on what the sensors are picking up in heat and light. However, I wanted to post this because it does look very interesting. There's the Rayfield River Valley. The road to the lower left of your screen on my map, that's the 3400 Clinton Loon Lake FSR. And I zoomed in order to see if there was any corresponding roads or tracks into the area that maybe these infrared dots were following the roads. But they're close, but this information can be off 300, 500 meters, up to 1 kilometer off. Now let's take a look at another system, the VIIRS infrared, and this is showing us radiative heat. And here is that area around the Rayfield River. Again, we see these straight line indications of heat. The brighter the indication, the yellows and greens, that means a hotter fire. The blue, purple is a lower temperature. And those pins at the top of the screen are indicating an earlier fire that started on August 3rd near the sodium area. Here is looking at the NRC data. Now, BC Wildfire has indicated that no structures are involved. This is in forested blocks, and they have crews and support aircraft on the site. So I'll keep checking back and see if there's growth, see if the weather is cooperating with this fire. We can also look at the MODIS system again and take a closer look at the fire around the Big Bar area. We can see it just to the left of your screen center. This is the radiative scan. We can see where the heat is. The yellow is the high temperature, the blue and purple is low temperature. Here in a close-up we can see north of White Lake, northwest of Meadow Lake. It's a forested block, and it seems to be quite involved there. When we jump over to the NRC data for this morning at 5:43 a.m. Mountain Time, we can see the 2 fires indicated quite clearly on infrared. The Big Bar areas to the left of your screen. The area around Rayfield east of Chasm is to the lower right of your screen, and we can see the difference in the two signatures. One is very horizontal, lateral, whereas the Big Bar fire is quite clustered and random. Now we're going to jump to just the last 12 hours. And you can see that not a lot of increased activity in the fire to the east of 70 Mile House and Chasm, whereas the Big Bar fire does have new spots that are less than 12 hours old, so it's quite active. Now we're going to take a look back in time at the NRC data. This was August 9th, 2017 at 8:30 in the morning Pacific time, and this is the Elephant Hill fire, and you can see the perimeters that were well established and on the move. This was a very stressful time. There was outbreaks heading to the northeast. There was quite a fire guard there that crews were working on. To the east, towards the Dead Man River Valley, then Sea to Sky Highway, there was quite a lot of activity there, and up in the Clinton area, that also had a lot of hotspots still on the hill. This was in the midst of the Elephant Hill fire, so quite a change from last year. Now we're going to jump over to Windy. This is the situation right now, 2018, and not a lot of wind out there in the morning and in the evenings. Most of the wind is occurring at that 3 o'clock breeze in the heat of the afternoon. Here we're zooming into the area around 70 Mile House, and you can see that breezes on the tops of the peaks, the mountains, and not a lot of activity in the wind in the valleys and the river areas, the lakes. That's going to change. So it's telling me that there's a lot of variation out there, and the wind is kind of meandering, moving from the south to a north-northwest direction. Just east of 70 Mile House, right now we're looking at 3 kilometers an hour moving from the southeast. If we look at the forecast, again, it's showing these wind events occurring every afternoon, right around 3 o'clock. They die off about 6-7 p.m. And no precipitation until maybe Sunday. It looks like a few millimeters of rain coming in, and that's a good sign. And that's been the difference this year, is a lot more moisture, I've noticed personally. And a little bit wetter, not as much wind, and the crews have been very responsive on these fires. We've now moved over to NASA's World View. We're looking at a picture from yesterday showing haze in the north and in the southern interior. The smoke is settling into valleys. That's giving some air problems that way. But if the smoke can get up and out of these troughs, it appears to be being picked up by these westerly flows and pushed over to the Rocky Mountains and into the north. And if we scroll down, we can see Northern California, Oregon, and the fires and smoke in those regions, very dense, collecting in the valleys there. We're zooming back into the area east of 70 Mile House, north of Cache Creek, and it's looking clearer, but on the ground there's going to be a lot of haze, especially in the lower areas. This is a screen from the Fire Information for Resource Management System, or FIRMS, and it's got the VIIRS and the MODIS systems linked to it. It also has attachments for active data, so you can load the KMLs, the key markup language, into Google Earth. It's not as detailed, but it does have overlays for streets, satellite information, and it gives you access to all these different satellite systems. So I'm going to put a link in the description. Just hit the little down arrow and the description pops up. And you'll be able to go to the website and check on these things yourself. And it's a handy system, and it does have that link to the active fire data over on the left-hand side. So if you have Google Earth, you can load up more detailed satellite information. We've jumped over to the big bar cam on Dry BC. This is looking north. I like using the Dry BC cams because I get kind of ground truthing. I can see where the smoke is and get an idea of where the haze is moving to. It looks like a pretty good day, and hopefully these breezes stay calm and just enough to push some of that smoke out of the area and give everyone some better visibility, some more oxygen. And of course, we've rolled back into Dry BC's Begbie cam, so if you do need some fresh air, Begbie seems to be the place to go if you're in the area and you want to get up above the smoke. So that's there. And if you are smelling smoke in the area and you don't know where it's coming from, evaluate your position, evaluate your resources, and check on your neighbor. Make sure that they're aware as well. And the whole community worked so well last year together, helping each other out. And it's a little calmer this year, but do look out for one another and be safe. Keep your nose to the breeze.